Good morning. Enter your name in the chat window for the attendance. So I'll share the MCQ based on the previous discussion. To complete it, by that time I will take the attendance. Answer your attendance. Aditya,
Yes, sir.
Ajay,
Yes, sir.
Amit, Antima,
Present, sir.
Apurva,
Sir Amit, sir.
Ashwini, Bindu,
Yes, sir.
Divesh, Gaurish,
Sir 04, Sir Amit, sir.
over. Next, Gaurish, Gautami, Gunashekar,
Present,
Harini,
sir.
Present, sir. Harini.
Surya Prakash, Surya Prakash, Naina, Nesma,
Present, sir.
Nidhi,
Present, sir.
Pradeep,
Yes, sir.
Preeti,
Present, sir.
Rajesh,
Present, sir.
Sadev,
Present, sir.
Saket, Santosh, Seema,
Yes, sir.
Sinchana,
Present, sir.
Spurti, Shashank,
Present, sir.
Varsha, Yashashwini,
Present, sir.
Amruta, Anusha, Apurva,
Present, sir.
Sai Siddharth, Chetana,
Present, sir.
Kavya, Madhushri,
Present, sir.
Manish, Sarfraz, Murgesh,
Present, sir.
Mani,
Present, sir.
Paresh, Pooja,
Present, sir.
Prashant, Pratibha, Pratik, Sadhana,
Present, sir.
Shashank, Shraddha,
Present, sir.
Sridhar,
Present, sir.
Tanuj,
Present, sir.
Tejashwini, Hani, Ashish,
Present, sir.
Vidyarani,
Present, sir.
Vishal. Okay, finish the quiz.
Sir, Siddharth present, sir.
Okay, in the last class, we have seen about the database creation programmatically and with the help of the database adapter class. Just adapting the class for creating insertion, updation, deletion, that is thread operations of the database. Today, we are extending our discussion related to the content providers. The job of content provider is, and one of the challenging job in mobile application is the sharing of data among the different application as well as the built-in applications. Why it is challenging? Since database adapter is creating a package relevant to a particular database, since ACID property the database should follow atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. That property each database should follow. If you want to maintain the consistency, so if one person or one user accessing the database, other has to wait till the completion, or it might be a shared. But consistent data it should maintain. So in this view, it is a challenging task in mobile application. For that, to simplify this challenging task, the content providers came into existence. So now we will recall some of the database bundle, then we'll gradually moving towards the content provider. So recall, saving simple user data, what is the concept is required? Shared preferences. Shared preferences usually it uses key value pairs, that is name value pairs. Sharing data among activities in the sample same application, you are required to use the get shared preferences method. Within the same application, if you want to share, get shared preferences method will be used. Suppose if you want to saving to a file output stream and output stream reader classes will be used. Already we have discussed in previous class. It's just a recall of those concepts we have discussed. Reading from a file input stream and input stream reader classes were used. And saving to external storage, that is SD card, to that to make use the get external storage directory. Path is required to be mentioned to store where exactly the file is going to be stored in the SD card. So these are the key concepts we have discussed. And in addition to that, accessing files in the resource or raw folder. So the method open raw resource method, this is a pre-defined files which exist with the application. To access those predefined files, open raw resource method is used. Okay, then after that, creating a database helper class with the help of SQLite open helper class. We can create the helper class and to extend to make use of DB database helper class, database adapter class also, right? We have seen all these things in the previous discussion. Now the current today's topic of discussion is content providers. This is a very important concept for the full-fledged application developer. Needs to be clearly understand about the content providers. See a note, suppose while using the database approach, the recommended way to save structured and complex data. Sharing data is a challenging task because the database is accessible to only the package that created it. The challenging is that if you are creating an application which uses the database, means that application is restricted to use the database. There is a lock, database lock, which will be created. Only the same application needs to be accessed. Otherwise, if you allow, suppose if you allow everyone to access, means there is a security issue. Data threat will happen. To avoid that, exclusive lock is maintained for each applications, not to provide the data immediately whenever the other application request. In Android, using a content provider is the recommended way to share data across packages. So here the content provider is act as a third-party service between to switch the data from one application to another application. For example, to take online store itself, data is passing through. First it will go the purchasing, then it is going to the departmental, then departmental store, then the consumer consuming the product, then payment. So see, the same data is passing through the several different activities in the same application. For that we use the intent and intent filters as well as the broadcast receivers also. In addition to that, content provider also used to share the data across the different packages. So we'll go through one by one about with the example of content providers. A content provider behaves very much like a database. Very simple is contact list. It is also one of the content providers. See, contact list will be shared among messages application, will be shared among the Gmail application, mail application, will be shared among the different banking applications also. Suppose if you are going to pay Google Pay or Phone Pay or Geo Pay, whatever the payment gateways. So if you allow the access of your contact list, it will provide the data of the contact who is using Google Pay, who is using Phone Pay, etc. and so on, right? It is also similar to act like a much like a database. You can query it. Contact list you can query. What you query you can suppose if you want to search for a Shivakumar, you can type in the search bar. You can type Shivakumar directly. It locate means select star select name from the contact list where the number is so and so. So also you can edit its content as well as add or delete the content. You can add the new number to the existing contact list. You can delete the existing contact lists which will be never used in future. Right. So that's the one example of contact list is the one example of content provider. However, unlike a database, a content provider can use different ways to store its data. So the data can be stored in a database, in files, or even over a network. So as we know that in a program, in any of the program, like we are using Java program, you are declaring a variable. So variable meant for to store or hold some information or the data. In the same way, the content provider is also a similar to the database. It will store it. The data will be stored in the form of, like for example, you can say suppose if you are exporting the contact list, which type of the file it is going to be created when you export the contact list, some file extension, right? Depending on the Android set. So the all the contacts is going to be stored as a exportable files, exportable contact list, right? Import, you are importing that one. So either you can store that content provider in the form of database, or you can store that content provider in the form of files, or even over a network also, which will have several objects to store the data, to maintain the connection between the two parties. So there also you can store the information. Right. So Android ships with many useful content providers, including the following: the browser usually it stores data such as browser bookmarks, browser history, and so on. So browser is acts also, it acts as an content provider. When you open the Chrome browser in your phone, you can bookmark for later use. You can even suppose if you are not clearing any history of the browser, usually it maintains the lengthier list of the browsing history. Based on that history, they can keep track and pop-ups the message to you based on your browsing experience. So browser acts as a content provider here. Browser acts as a content provider here, right? Then similar to the browser call log, it stores data such as missed calls, call details, and so on. So how many number of times the person who has called to you tried to call, or any error message, or so on. So it is going to be stored in a call log. Call log again acts as a the content provider. Then contacts stores contact details. It is possible to query the contact details, edit, delete or update or add the new number to the existing contact, etc., and so on. Another good example of content provider is media store, like gallery. Usually, gallery audio and video folders acts as a content provider, because there you are storing the media files such as audio, video, and images. Settings, it stores the device settings and preferences. These are some of the examples of content provider. It acts as a one folder or the file, but actually it stores the information either in the form of the text information or in the form of multimedia information. So you can look into call log and contacts, usual browser contacts and browser. Usually, call log and contacts. Usually, the information is stored in the form of text. Browser, it's a mixed mode of images as well as text. Media store, it is multimedia images. Settings usually in the form of text again. So different variety of types of data you can store using the content providers. Besides the many built-in content providers, you can also create your own content provider. So I am given the example assignment for the lab. There you can try it out to create your own content provider. For example, you can create the book of Guinness record. Book of Guinness record as a content provider. You can keep that folder as a content provider part of any Android mobile. So whenever you open that, it will retrieves the information of all the Guinness record which were made by the Indians, right? So you can create your own content provider also. To do that, you are required to follow some of the standard methods and the syntax to obtain the content providers. To query a content provider, you can specify the query string in the form of URI. URI is different from URL. So URI is within an application environment. You are fetching the information. URI is used uniform resource identifier. So that is used to fetch the information within an application environment. URL, it's over the network. So with an option, for example, the format of querying URI is standard prefix colon, that is suppose URI colon, you can think of like URI colon slash authority. If any permissions are needed, you specify the authority. Then data path, the path where exactly the content provider is providing the data, and ID is the uniquely identified data which will be represented as in the form of ID. So the various part of URI, as the standard prefix for content providers is always content. Standard prefix, the given name is given is content colon double slash. The authority specifies the name of the content provider. That is, for example, in our case, Guinness Records. Guinness Record is the content provider name. Uh, for example, third-party content provider. This could be fully qualified name, such as suppose, for example, com.rocks.provider or net.learn to develop provider. So fully qualified path is required to fetch the access of that particular content provider. Then data path specifies the kind of data requested. So Guinness record data usually in the form of text and images, right? For example, one more example you can look into here. If you are getting all the contacts from the contacts content provider, then the data path would be people, and the URI would look like content colon contacts is the content provider, that is authority, and people is the data path. The ID specify the specify record requested. The ID here is the number of record which is stored under that content provider. If suppose if there are thousands of record, among that if you want to fetch the 530th record, 530th is the ID which is given to identify that 530th record, right? Suppose one more is, suppose if you provide the content as to second contact number, it is going to be fetched. So the URI look like is content colon contacts people is the data path, and two is the record which you are going to fetch from the contact content provider. So some of the another set of query string to fetch the different set of content provider content is the one is content colon media. Media means media file. Media is either audio or video. So where it is present, the qualified data path is internal storage. Images, you are retrieving the images from the media content. It returns a list of all the internal images on the device. It is going to fetch all the internal images stored on the device. The second query string to fetch from the content provider is media external images. So the images which stored on the external storage like SD card. The third query string is content colon call log calls. Here see observe returns a list of all calls registered in the call log. Content browser bookmarks. All the bookmarks stored in the browser is going to be listed using this one. You can look into your mobile phone itself. In the mobile phone, identify which are the other set of content providers. So take as a tip assignment. You just list out all other except what I discussed here. Try to explore in your mobile phone which are the other set of content providers. We will discuss through the coding. So content provider, one example here, list view, it is going to be listed. Why? Because in the contact list, usually you will have more than 2000, 3000, 4000, depending on the repo with the outside word. You will have a list of item. Suppose if you are defining a contact, your own contact list, our family contact list is separate, friends contact list or so on. So if it is the case, if you want to make divide and segregate different contact lists, you can create your own contact list with the name, different name. So there you specify the list view. The list view is the path which you identified as a list. The ID of that list view is ID which you provided as list, and stack from bottom is false. Then means one time scrolling it will gives. From bottom means again it keeps on scrolling continuously if you make it as true. Transcript mode is normal. The text view is contact name, which the name of the contact, and the text with another contact is contact ID, usually the contact number. So you are defining a your own provider. It needs some of the packages like list activity, cursor loader, Cursor usually it works to move the navigation from top to bottom and bottom to top. For that, cursor and cursor loaders are helpful. Database cursor are helpful to fetch the records. Content cursor loader is helpful to navigate in the contact list. So URI net resource is required. Bundle if the content provider which is also connected with the external world, then this URI is required. Net.uri. So bundle as usual. You are defining the provider contacts contract, provider package dot contracts contact, widget cursor adapter is required, simple cursor. These are the following packages needs to be imported to work with the content provider. So now you are defining your own provider activity. It extends the list activity. So what you are going to define is URI. All contacts you are fetching from where? You are fetching from this URI path. Content contacts from the people, you are fetching all the contacts and put it in the URI objects. Then cursor is needs to be set. Cursor usually it's set from the beginning. If URI contacts is found, your default the cursor is going to be point out to the first record. And SDK internal card version less than 11. If it is the case of honeycomb before honeycomb, then you need to follow this managed query all contacts. This is all contacts URI and returns. So else later after the honeycomb and all, you need to use the cursor loader. Cursor loader equal to new cursor loader. What you require to do? This all contacts. So it uses the other set of parameters. We will discuss later about the other set of parameters here. Then you are going to point out that cursor loader using C equal to cursor loader dot load in background. If you want to, if the content provider has the bulk contact list more than 1000 lakh together, then instead of waiting the application to load, you can push that application load in background method you can call and set as a contact list. It keeps on loading. You need not wait. You can explore you can view the contacts. Then string columns equal to new string. New string array is going to be recorded. Contracts contact dot contacts dot display name and display contacts ID. Display name and contact ID is going to be fetched as a column, two column of the column string. So and int views how many number of records are present, you can get it through using int resource id dot contact name and resource id dot contact id. From the content provider's resource id, you are fetching the contact name and contact id information and set as a views. So these are the ID. ID is in the form of integer. These two IDs are going to be fetched here and stored as a views. So with the help of the simple cursor adapter class, you are going to again fetch one by one. So adapter equal to new simple cursor adapter. This the current activity layout dot main. C is the cursor pointing to the first column. Columns is here contact name and contact ID, that is display name and contact ID, and views is the contact name and contact ID. So how it is display? Contact name, display name and contact ID message it is displaying. Bottom of that title it is going to display all the fetch data which is present in the content provider. Or in the case of later versions, this is the in case of before honeycomb, this is later versions. The code is new simple cursor adapter. This dot r dot layout dot main C column views. In addition to this, cursor adapter dot flag register content observer constant value is used, right? Then this dot set list adapter, this is going to be set to the adapting to the list view, which is going to display to the user. So the special permission is needed is the permission which needs to be added in the manifest.xml file is permission.read contacts. Permission.read contact to retrieve the information present in the content provider. Okay, this is the simple example of retrieving the information from the user defined content provider. Like this in the list view, how it is displaying. This is a simple view of displaying all the content provider information, name, id, name, id, name, id, like that. So another set of some predefined query string constants, like look into here predefined query string constant for the fetching the content provider information. URI all contacts equal to URI dot parse content contacts people. By looking into that, you are able to understand that you are fetching the information from the content provider. So another set of the query strings are like browser.bookmarks underscore URI. Because suppose if you bookmark some of the websites or the sites, web applications or websites, if you bookmark, it will stored in the form of sequentially. If you want to click on a particular item in the history of the browser bookmark, that is appear as a offline copy. Then when you connect to the internet, it will upload the update latest copy, right? So some of the predefined query strings are browser.bookmarks URI, browser.searches URI, call log.content URI, media store.images.media.internal content URI, external content URI, settings.content URI. If you want to retrieve the first contact, what is the query? Query is URI all contacts equal to URI dot parse content contacts people slash one. First contact is slash one. 10th contact is slash 10, etc. So you can specify the URI query string. Okay. So now, after looking into the content provider, even content providers also are similar to the database, since you can query them. Even database also, or the databases you can query them like SQLite or other set of databases. You can do performance for some perform on the databases as well as content providers. Here the why we are discussing content providers, mainly content providers provides the data among the different applications. Some of the techniques are helpful how you can provide the data within or outside the application and outside the application environment. The following subtitles are helpful to understand how you can retrieve the information. The second parameter is of the managed query method, that is third parameter for the cursor loader class. How many columns are returned by the query? This parameter is known as the projection. See, look into the code which just now we have discussed. See here, especially this code, managed query. See, equal to managed query, all contacts, projection. See, the four null values, it was there. Now we are with discussion with projection. How many number of columns you are going to be projected? You can provide the projection value, right? All contacts, projection. The next is filtering. The third and fourth parameters of the managed query method is you to specify SQL where class to filter the results of the query. To filtering the results, look into this example, like for example, third and fourth parameters, you can see the managed queries. You can see this one, managed query, all contacts, projection, then contacts dot display name, like display name is like, it is going to be display all the contact name which is having end by the name name. So like percentage Lee, like percent, any name which is ended by Lee, contact list is going to be listed. It's a third parameter, and the fourth parameter is acting like a filter option. Second is projection. First is the content provider. Third is the filtering, and fourth is also filtering. Third and fourth act as a filtering. And the last parameter of the managed query enables you to specify SQL order by class to sort the result of the query. Whether you want to you want to keep the records in sorted ascending order or descending order. To do that, the last parameter which you are specifying as the order, sorting order. Sorting order. Like you can see here the contact, the fourth parameter is Lee, then fifth parameter is ASC. ASC is ascending, DES is descending. Either ascending order or descending order you can specify this one. Okay. So the four null parameters, second and third is for second is projection, third and fourth is for filtering, fifth is for sorting. So creating your own content providers is simple. It extends the abstract content provider class and override the various method defines within it. You need not to define from scratch, just make use of the existing methods present in the content provider class. Then you define yourself the path of access, etc. and so on. So some of the methods you can override in the class content provider is uh, get type method. It returns the MIME type of the data at the given URI. So either the fetching information type it is going to define, it is going to retrieve. It's a MIME type is what either it is a text or image or audio or video or any other media set. So to retrieve such information, get type method. Suppose you are retrieving the audio means audio, MIME type is audio or MIME X is nothing but multimedia. On create called when the provider is started. Query receives a request from a client. The result is returned as a cursor object. How results set object were used in advanced Java. Similarly, here cursor object is holds the intermediary results of a results of the querying result of a table or the database. The insert inserts a new record into the content provider. Delete the existing record from the content provider and update the existing record from the content provider. These are some of the methods you can override and you can reuse them in your content providers. That is get type for MIME type, on create when it will call when provider is started. When you click on contact folder, content provider, on create is going to be called. Query is going to be used for querying the request from a client. So result is written as a cursor object. Inserts a new record into the content provider. Use insert method is used. Delete method and update method is used. Deletes an existing record and updates the existing record from the content provider. So newly created content provider, this is the one simple another example. With this we are concluding the session. See here you are creating a new content provider. Here content providers activity extends the activity class. Then on click add a title method is called to add a book. To add a book, suppose a dictionary, you can think of a dictionary. Dictionary is again a full of a contents and values. You can create the book, add a book, content values equal to new content values. Then values dot put method is used to push the title of the title which is obtained from the edit text. Means you are retrieving whatever you are enter key in, that is will be set as a title of the books provider. Then you are identifying that you are converting from edit text that to the string. Then the second one is you are pushing that as a ISBN. Then you are inserting using insert method. Using insert method, get content resolver dot insert method is used. Books provider dot content URI values. These two values, title and ISBN values, are going to be inserted into a content as a content values of the content provider. Then finally this message is just for the user notification, like the title of the book and ISBN which you have inserted. And click retrieve titles. This is for insertion. This is for manage query again. Click. When you click URI all titles, URI.parse content provider, where you are obtaining that content, books. Then books is the data path. Cursor you define. Again, if it is a case of honeycomb, lower versions of honeycomb, C equal to manage query all titles. Remaining is set as null. Projection filtering. These are the two filtering option and one is the sorting option. Here sorting is used for descending order to display in the descending order Z to A. See if it's a later case, cursor loader is defined and all the titles is retrieving with the descending order. So if more are there, the cursor loader is calls the load in background method to load all the books present in that particular content provider. And with the help of the C dot move to first, cursor is moving to the very first if the content provider has the records. Then with the help of the while method, do while method, using C dot to move to first, C dot move to next. It reads the each content information present in the books content provider. So books ID, books title and ISBN is going to be retrieved and display as a toast message to the user. Every time cursor moves to the next till it reaches the end of the line. This is the one simple example which you have created the content provider. Okay, clear? This is about your the unit 4 or module 4. If any doubts are there, let me know. Actually, in the syllabus, it is not there. The content provider or database. I don't know why they have removed, but even it is a most important concept if you are developing a full-fledged database kind of applications, mobile application, Android mobile applications. So in that view, I have discussed this content provider as well as the database concepts. Okay. Any questions are there? Any questions? So in the next class, I'm going to discuss the module 5. It's the last module of the current semester. Yes. Any questions? Yes.
Sir, attendance.
Attendance already I have taken.
Sure.
Okay.